What's up, guys? nethervvoid here with more World of Tanks for you, and this is the 8.10 patch server right here that you're seeing. I wanted to jump on there this weekend and show you guys the new tanks that are coming out and some stuff like that. So right here you're seeing the new STB-1, which is a tier 10 Japanese medium tank. So it's interesting that the dev team decided to come out with some medium tanks first, and I think this is because medium tanks are really the new favorite among high tier tanks. In my opinion, I think most people would agree with that, just because the game's more about mobility now and not as much about armor, and so heavy tanks are really not. Again, I think pound for pound at a disadvantage when you put them up against medium tanks. But this tank, it's really awesome. If you just saw the armor on this thing, very angular. The turret armor is insanely angled. The thing has really good mobility. We're looking at, let's see, let me look at a couple of screenshots I took of the different stats on this thing here. Different stats, well, no, that's not, okay, here we go. So I'm comparing the STB-1 to other medium tier 10 tanks, the T62, Patton, you know, a couple of German tanks, and the FV4202, which is British. So just looking at the stats here, this thing's got really nice power to weight ratio, 20-to-1. Really awesome traverse is what I really noticed about this thing's 94. Really up there, like with the T62, which is really its biggest thing in the T62 is that, you know, what is that, 104 traverse degrees per second turret traverse, or total traverse. And this thing's really, it's pretty awesome. It's got all that. It's got the nice angular armor. The armor is actually pretty decent stat-wise if you look at it, and with the angles, I'm sure it shoots up to ridiculous, basically. I mean, ridiculous for a medium tank, anyway. Just driving it, I felt like it was very responsive and really had nice mobility. The gun on it is also pretty good. Has really nice pen, really nice accuracy and stuff like that. And I don't have any gun stats for you here because I only actually just looked at the differences between the two, all the medium tanks. But I was just really impressed with the gun. It seems like this thing is a well-rounded beast. I think it's going to be, people are going to like this thing a lot. It's not like other tanks where, like, if you look at the Leopard 1, it has a lot of great attributes about it, but it also has a couple of pretty glaring weaknesses. And I don't feel like this tank really has any weaknesses right now, especially with how highly angled the armor is on the turret and stuff. I think, I mean, it's not heavy armor or anything, but it's just decent armor for a medium. That's pretty cool. But it also has the mobility to get the job done. So 53 speed limit, that's pretty decent as well. That's right up there with kind of what I would expect out of a medium. A little bit faster than a couple other more sluggish tanks, which is good. Is it the fastest one out there? No, the Leopard's faster by a little bit more. Looks at the ALSM is also faster. I don't know if it gets that kind of speeds though, since it's less than 20-to-1 power to weight ratio on the E50. So right here I'm getting hit by a waffle, and it's obviously penning me. I don't know if he's using gold or what. Probably. I would be. A lot of people were shooting gold on the test server. It's really hard to figure out if you're going to get bounces on the test server just because there's so much gold flying around. Not that there isn't in public matches, but there's definitely tons of it floating around on the test server. So one thing I didn't talk about, which I think is probably one of the biggest benefits that this tank has that other tanks don't have, and actually both the new Japanese medium tanks have it, is depression. This thing has pretty nice gun depression. It's pretty obvious when you drive the new, if you're testing out tanks on the test server and you're driving like the new Russian tier 10 mediums, which really have the standard Russian depression, that this thing has amazing depression. This is actually kind of a 1960s tank, which I know they try to stay away from doing that, but when you're going to bring new lines in like the Japanese, who really didn't have a lot of World War II tanks, I mean they did, but they weren't, there's no way they could compete with the Western tanks, just because Western were playing tank warfare, and there wasn't a lot of tank warfare in the Asian arena. Now, correct me if any of that's wrong. I'm not a historian. I don't read these books every day and all that stuff. I don't do tons of research before I say something. I just go with what I've read, you know, over the past years and years. So yeah, this tank was developed like in the early 60s. It didn't even come out until 69 or something like that. It didn't even go into play until the late 60s. So, you know, it is what it is. There are a lot of tanks like that in this game, so that's not really, you know, anything to cry about really, because it happens a lot. But yeah, this thing is pretty nice. I'm really happy with it. I think a lot of people are going to be happy with this line. They're going to try to shoot up this line. I don't know if they're going to have nerfs. It doesn't feel like it needs any nerfs. Nothing really seems glaringly overpowering. It's just a really all-around, it's just a well-rounded tank. And maybe that could make it overpowered. I don't know. But it's pretty awesome. I really like it. Actually, let's look at the pin on this thing. We can do that. Duh. Come on. Where's my cursor here? There it is. So 258 pen, 390 damage. Of course, that's ACPR, which I think has normalization issues. So even though it looks like it has like a higher pen value, it's really probably a little bit lower. Correct me if that's wrong as well. It's been a while since I've read about APCR or ACPR. I can't remember what the acronym is. Let's look. APCR, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm really happy with this tank. Mobility is really its strength, I think. As a tier 10, you've got to have mobility. If your tier 10 medium is not very mobile, it's really not a good medium. People are not going to want to drive it that much. I know people are not all that happy, I don't think, with... Well, I guess the 4202 does have 20 to 1, and it has, 90 traverse. But with a 40 speed limit, it's a little bit slower than other tier 10 mediums. So I'm not sure... I actually haven't played it. It looks like it has nice armor, though. But, yeah, I know people have complained about the 4202 in the past. Tell me if you like it or not. But anyway, that's this game. Let's get another one. I felt like I did pretty good. A little bit of scouting there under the bridge. That was I like that spot right there. And get some flank shots on people and stuff. So let's get another game. Hold on a second. I'll show you this tank a little bit more. So here's the second game with the STB-1. This is actually pretty cool because I actually got a game on the new map, Hidden Village. It's a Japanese map on standard battle here. I really like this map. I love... First thing I was doing is look at the mini-map going, wow, this is a weird freaking map. I don't know what to do exactly right away. There looks like there's about 3 or 4 lines of attack here. There's outer city, inner city, right down the center, and it looks like the far south, kind of. Really awesome map. I was looking at it, I could automatically see lots of little tactical areas you can go to. What I'm going to do is try to come to the inner city here and try to hide from being spotted from the south and try to get flank maneuvers. That's kind of what I was thinking to do here. What? Okay, good. I'm in. No, I want to be in fixed. There we go. So, and this tank really, I think, is a great kind of a tank for this kind of maneuver on this map. Really kind of a mobile... It can be a heavy hitter. You can see the gun depression there. If you just saw that. See that gun depression? Look at that. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous gun depression. I think it's because... I don't know about this tank, but I do know the... I think it's or is it T-61, I think is the tier 9. And that tank, the turret just looks like an American turret. It looks a lot like the Super Pershing turret. You'll see when I show you that next. But I think that's where they get the gun depression from, because I think the Americans were helping them with tank design. I'm not positive on that. You can't quote me or anything, but it just looks like that. That's the feeling I get. So right in here, I'm thinking, okay, we pretty much got city. I'm going to roll around on this E75 and hopefully take him out, do some flank maneuvers here. I also wanted to ram with this to see what kind of damage I could get with it. It's not very heavy, though, so especially versus this E75, so let's see what kind of damage I can get on him. So I ram him 74, not a lot of damage. I don't really recommend doing that. In fact, I just took 600? Is that right? I just took 600 for that maneuver? I think so. Yeah, don't ram with this tank. With most mediums, you don't ram. I just kind of want... Like, when I get in here on the test server, I'm just screwing around. Trying out the gun depression, trying out ramming. It's a brand new tank. I just want to see what you can do with it. I'm not really trying to have a great game. And sorry that the games I have on the test server, I generally have a hard time getting good games. First of all, because they're brand new tanks. I'm just not used to playing them. A lot of times like this, it's a brand new map. And then everybody's shooting gold, so it's just have a harder time on the test server getting good games. But I really just want to show you the tanks. That's the real point of this, not really to show you great gameplay or anything, but mainly show you, talk about what I think about the tanks and what I think of the strengths and weaknesses, and really to get you guys involved in the comment section, whether you agree or disagree or what's great with it. Now, I should have stayed here. This is a great spot. You can get really hold down right there, especially with the gun depression on this tank, but there were no spotters here. I should have just waited. But I really wanted to just get up here and get some shots on these guys, kind of see if what kind of shots I could really get. Now watch this T-54 who just popped up at G6. That's a great shot area to shoot down to the other lanes with right here. And you're very exposed. Actually, that wasn't a T-54. That was a bat shot. That's a great spot, even though you're very exposed. I think he could have probably, if you can see my cursor, like hid behind the rocks a little bit and shot some people coming into base right there. But I think once that you have people in your base, you're kind of have some issues because they're going to come up at the backside and flank. I should have just stayed behind that hill and waited till some people come up the side and then took him out. But again, mainly just trying to show you the gun depression, not really trying to have an insane game. That's not really the point of this. So now that I've shown you this tank, the tier 10, let's look at the tier 9 a little bit and talk about the strengths and weaknesses of this tank. I think I also have some stats on this one, but I'm not positive. We'll see. Hold on a sec. So here is the first game I have in the Type 61, and again, these games are really horrible. I was trying to just show off the mobility of this tank and just different aspects of this tank and kind of get a feel for how it's going to play. One thing that you'll notice in these two games, at least if you played on the test server, is I have the lower tier gun. I actually did not load. I derped out and didn't load the highest tier gun, which is actually the tier 10. You actually get to put the tier 10 on this tank, which makes it a lot more beastly than when I played it anyway. And let me see if I can get some stats up for this thing real quick here. I just went back on the test server to get some stats for this thing. Let's look at the gun stats first here. Again, great gun depression on this thing. Just if you're watching this video, you can see that this game I have great gun depression right here. So now we're looking at the gun stats here, and the 90 mil, which is what I have, is not bad. 218 pen. You're definitely flanking with it. 240 damage, but it has a really fast reload. It has good accuracy and great aiming time. So it's really not a bad gun. I didn't like it that much just because overall I didn't like the tank very much, I guess. So it's not really the gun's fault, just I don't know. Plus, again, since I wasn't trying really hard, I wasn't doing try hard, I just wasn't having a very good time. But the gun's great. The 90 mil gun is decent. But once you get the tier 10 gun on it, which is actually the same gun you get on the Type 60, the STB-1, you're really gonna have a fun time. 258 pen, 390 damage, a little bit slower reload, aiming time a little bit longer, but still 0.36 accuracy, which is pretty good. I mean, it's not super stellar or anything, but it's not 0.4, it's not 0.39. You know, it's pretty decent accuracy. Rate of fire, not too bad still, so I think it's a pretty awesome gun. Now, the problems I have really with the Type 61 is it has really no armor. If we're looking at it right now, you can see that it's got that tumor on the top there, and you can see the turret looks a lot like the Super Pershing turret, except it doesn't have any extra armor on the sides, which I don't even know if those really do anything. It's just like the Super Pershing turret or Pershing turret. And not a lot of armor there. It's like 70 or something like that. In fact, let me go to my little stat page real quick before we end this video. It's got 70 in the front, so it's really not great at all. Let's get the second game, and I can talk a little bit more about the armor and stuff and kind of the deficiencies of this tank and how it stacks up against the other tier 9s. Hold on a sec. So here's that second game. Again, not really a great game. Not a bad game, but not a very good game. Overall, I didn't feel like I did very good. But again, the point is here to talk about the new tanks, let you see them in action, talk about their strengths, weaknesses, and get feedback on it from what other people thought out of the test server. So real quick, while we're just waiting, I'm showing you the stats from 6 different tier 9 tanks. T-54 really is what I compare tier 9 tanks to, because in my opinion, the T-54 is the best tier 9 tank for mediums. Hands down, it's got everything. Look at that. Power to weight ratio 20, insane turret traverse at 92 total traverse. Look at the armor, 120 on the hull, which is pretty angled, 200 on the turret. It's just the all-around beastly tier 9 medium tank. I love that tank. I do really well in it. The only thing it has, I think, is a kind of not great penetrating gun. It's not bad at all, and I don't have the stat in front of me. I just feel like it doesn't have the highest pen gun on it. Again, I don't have the stat in front of me, so you'll have to correct me if that's wrong here. But so I think the Type 61 has a better gun. The tier 10 gun on this thing is amazing, but It has that tumor, which I think is a real big weakness. The armor layout, armor on the Type 61 is just not that good. Again, it's hard to tell on the test server because everybody's slinging gold around, but I was getting pinned like almost every time I got shot at. Even through the mantlet, which again, with gold rounds on the test server, it's hard to say. It just did not feel like I was getting any bounces. And I think for armor, you're just going to play it on the live server to really be able to tell what it's going to be like. But again, not great. So if we're looking at the other stats too, and I know I don't have them up, you can roll it back if you want to see them again. All the power to weight ratios on all except the T54 are on the tier 9 tanks are not 20 to 1. Looks like the Type 61 is like probably about 16 to 1, 17 to 1. Not bad. It feels fairly mobile. And 90 total traverse, which is great. I mean, the traverse on it is really good. It feels pretty mobile. I think the only weakness it really has is the armor layout and that tumor. You can't really go hold down because the tumor is just gigantic. Now, I don't know what the armor layout is on the tumor. It doesn't seem like it's would be that good. I don't really know. I didn't test it or anything. I know, like, the T110E5 has a really gigantic tumor on its turret, and I call it the Fez. But that thing is heavily armored, so it's like you're not just getting through on every shot. I don't think that's going to be the case for this tank, because it's a medium tank and it has low amounts of armor. It's only a 35-ton tank, so it's not heavily armored at all. So, looking at the other tank statistics, looks like the WZ-120, the Chinese, has a decent armor layout as well. It's more similar to the T-54. Not the awesome engine, and it has other deficiencies, so it's really just a weakened version of the T-54. The Prototype A has a really good gun. I think it has great accuracy and stuff from what I can remember. It has a similar armor layout, but it has the speed, see? And the Type 61 doesn't have bad speed, but it doesn't have like a prototype speed, okay? That Prototype A has ridiculous speed. The armor layout on the Prototype seems very similar to the Type 61, except the speed is just ridiculous. The power to weight ratio, it's got about the same issues, maybe actually a little bit more of an issue than the Type 61. It has a little bit less power to weight ratio, but it's got that top speed, which really helps. Once you get moving, you're moving, you know what I mean? So view ranges, about all even, looks like. So the E50, again, better armor layout, not as good as the power weight ratio. Top speed is 60, but I think that's only going downhill really. And it looks like really bad traverse at 62, so that's not really a great medium tank for traverse and mobility and stuff, because it has more like a heavy traverse really. The pattern, we all know it's crap pretty much since it got nerfed. It's got about 74 total traverse, which is bad, and a really bad power to weight ratio, and an okay armor layout, but really nothing. It's really nothing to write home about. One of the worst tier 9 tanks now. It used to be one of the best, and now it's one of the worst. So it is what it is. Overall, I think the Type 61 is not going to be something that people don't like playing, especially when they get the tier 10 gun. But it's not going to be like playing the T-54. When I play the T-54, I feel like a Superman. I mean, that thing is a beast. You can be an average player and have over and over awesome games with the T-54 just because of it's a great tank. It just is. And I know a lot of people say all tanks are good. You can't say all tanks are built equally, because they're just not. I'm sorry, but they're not. And it's fairy tale land to think that all tanks are created equally, because there just aren't. But so the T-54, beastly tank. Type 61, not a bad tank at all, just not really that great, and you're just going to have to play it a little bit safe. Again, one of the best things to think about is to play like you have no armor. That's what a lot of people do at the highest echelons of this game. Is play like you have no armor, use those hills, you know, just strike when it's a good opportunity. Look for your good opportunities to hit. You're gonna have to do that, I think, with the Type 61 as well. T-54, you can kind of go. It's kind of like a suit. It's like a Rambo tank. You could just drive out there and like use your turret and do all kinds of crazy stuff. The STB-1 as well, I think, is going to be amazing. I'm also throwing up the Japanese camos that I saw out there that are on the test server that you could choose from, which are kind of there's one kind of crazy one that I like, that blue and brown one there. So anyway, that is the Japanese stuff coming out, and I will show you another video in a day or two on the new Russian medium tanks. I got some footage with them, but I'm still trying to get more footage with them and kind of test them out. So let me know what you think about these guys. It looks like a decent line. I didn't check anything below tier 9, but I'm really happy with the tier 10, and I think that's really the biggest thing about a new line is the tier 10 is it's all about the tier 10, because that's what people are going to be shooting for eventually, what they're going to be playing, you know, all the time. Once you get a tier 10, it sticks with you unless you sell them, which I really don't know anybody who does that really, but so yeah, in my opinion, the tier 10s is what needs to be. And again, I don't think there's going to be a nerf that they don't feel like they need to be nerfed. So that's great right off the bat. It's nice to see a tank that doesn't feel like it needs to be nerfed right away, like the Waffle 100 did, or does really even still. So anyway, let me know what you think about these tanks again, and I'll see you next time.